We've been looking at the I am statements of Jesus in the Gospel of John, and he has to use metaphor because it's hard for us to wrap our minds around who he is, and so he has to use language that helps us see the magnitude of who he is. And so all of the I am statements today, we come to I am the good shepherd. I always thought, Daniel, that your voice had like the ring of God in it, so not God, but close, right? I am the good shepherd, the voice that we hear above all else. Now, I think that it's hard for us to really understand that. Maybe you've heard the I am the good shepherd a number of times. Maybe it's kind of in your memory. But it's really hard for us especially to understand it because we're modern 21st century people. And for most of us, we don't live really close to the land or animals, or our livelihood doesn't necessarily depend on animals. And so for many of us, it might be hard to kind of understand what he's talking about. What is a shepherd? What is a sheep? Why are we the sheep? Jesus talks about himself as a shepherd, a sheep farmer, a sheep herder, and then we are sheep. So I've kind of wondered, why did he pick sheep? Why not some other animal? And then I was thinking, because my mind goes in weird places, what if Jesus said, I am the deer herder and you are the deer? Well, that wouldn't really work because deer are just fine without somebody to take care of them. They can live in the woods just fine. They live at Jefferson Barracks, like just fine. They don't need any help if you've ever been to Jefferson Barracks. There's like a herd of them there. They need no caretaker. They're just fine. Or what if Jesus said, I am the squirrel herder, you are the squirrels. It doesn't work because squirrels don't need any help. They're just fine. In fact, you might need some squirrel control in your neighborhood. They're just fine. They don't need help. Why does Jesus choose sheep? Sheep are one of the animals that really need a lot of help. They're largely defenseless. They don't have a lot of defensive skills or survival skills. They just need a lot of help. They're vulnerable, a very vulnerable animal. They're open to attack. And they need someone to care for them, protect them, guide them. They're that kind of an animal. It's different than other animals. To give just a picture of this, of why sheep need a caretaker, take a look at this video.
Абуш, отойди.
Нет, сам.
Он боится и так нас, отойди.
Нет, пойдем.
Абуш, отойди.
Нет.
Потяни сейчас, сам. Вверх потяни. Ой, умничка, Риад, умничка. Ногу не сломай только ему. Умничка, умничка. За обе ноги. Молодец, Риад, умничка. Умничка. Все, операция удалась. Над тобой. Реально, барана.
Sheep need help. You get it? Okay, that's why Jesus chose sheep. They need a caretaker. They need someone to help them. And that's why that animal was chosen by Jesus and that metaphor by Jesus. And so today Jesus confronts you with the question. When he says, I'm the good shepherd, he's confronting you with the question of who takes care of you. Who is your caretaker? Who do you follow? Who do you lean on for rescue when you fall into the same ditch 2 times? Who is it? Who's your caretaker? And he sets it up by really offering kind of a multiple choice. There's multiple options you can choose to take care of you. The first one he mentions is a hired hand. So let's take a look at what he means by a hired hand. This is John 10, 12 and 13. If you'd read this with me. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming, leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. He flees because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. A hired hand is just doing it for a job, not really for the animals. A hired hand is working for a paycheck, not for the people. A hired hand is there just to make a living. A hired hand doesn't really care about the animals because they're not his. They're someone else's. and he's just got this job. He's getting paid minimum wage, and he just is showing up to do his thing, punching the clock. And if it gets difficult, if it gets hard, especially if his life is threatened, he resigns or just walks off the job site because he's a hired hand. In this metaphor, Jesus is saying, I'm the good shepherd, you're the sheep, and then he's also extending a metaphor to hired hands, that there are hired hands in your life. There are people and things in your life that promise to take care of you, but in fact, they just take from you. I'm going to say that again. Think about the people or the things in your life that promise to take care of you when in fact they just take from you. There are hired hands in your life. Things and people who seek to manipulate, exploit, and profit from you. What I want you to do today, by the end of today, I want you to have in mind and identify one hired hand in your life. It's important that we do this and look honestly at our life. What voices are we following? And maybe we're looking for them to be a shepherd to us when in fact they're a hired hand. It's really important that you recognize it. What's a hired hand? What's one hired hand in your life that you've followed, that you've looked for care? You thought they were going to give you something. It turns out they just take. And in fact, when things get tough, they run. There are things and people that are hired hands. So again, I want you today to identify one, and I'm going to give you just a few examples to kind of generate some ideas in your mind. This might not apply to you, but maybe it just at least triggers some thinking. It prompts you to think of a hired hand in your life. The most immediate reference in John chapter 10 in this particular text is the religious leaders. That's what Jesus is talking about directly as hired hands. The scribes and the Pharisees were supposed to take care of the people. Instead, they use the people for their profit, for their position, and their power. The religious leaders use their position, supposed to care. They took instead. Always watch your religious leaders and make sure they have accountability, that they're not a hired hand. Another hired hand can be a politician. I want to be clear, not all politicians, but there can be a politician who may promise to take care of you, and then you vote, and then there's another agenda that they have. We're entering midterm elections pretty soon. I don't think I need to say any more. There can be hired hands. Financial security can be a hired hand. It promises to take care of you. If you just save enough, if you just reach this level, if you just have enough money, then you're going to be secure, then you're going to be taken care of. But when you chase that as the only thing or the primary thing, you find out that it never fully satisfies. It's never quite enough. And that doesn't give you what you were looking for. It's a hired hand. A loved one can be a hired hand. Now, I want to be really careful here because our family and our friends are gifts from God. And I'm not saying that all of your family or friends are hired hands. But there are relationships in our lives and close relationships that we put on that person an expectation that they're going to care for us, almost a godlike expectation sometimes. We invest everything in that relationship and we see them like a shepherd. You're always going to take care of me. And then we find that in fact they just take, manipulate, exploit, use. Maybe you have a relationship, even somebody close that you love, that you've seen them as more of a shepherd when in fact they're really a hired hand. They just take. Social media can be a hired hand. Sheep like to be pet, kind of like dogs, kind of right behind the ear or on the belly. They like to be pet. And you know what? We do too. We like attention, admiration. We like to be affirmed. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm pretty. Tell me I'm successful. Tell me you like me. Tell me you're with me. We're like sheep. We like to be pet. We like affirmation. With social media, we show our best pictures. We share our best news so that people will affirm us, tell us they like us, hit the like button and comment. It creates a kind of hired hand, but at the end of the day, social media will run. Success can be a hired hand. If I just do enough, make more, be more, do more, if I'm just successful enough, then I'll be taken care of. But no level of success fully satisfies. We're always left wanting more. And when everything comes to an end, it runs, it doesn't stay. It's a hired hand. Big tech can be a hired hand. It promises advancements in technology, promises ease of life, promises profit. But big tech just wants your data and your money. Wants something from you, not just for you. These are just a few ideas. Maybe you've got others, but I want you to think about one hired hand in your life. A voice you've been following and looking to it like a shepherd, but it turns out it's a hired hand. And when the wolf comes, leaves. Now I want to show you how the Good Shepherd is different. John 10, 14 and 15. This is the memory verse. You got to memorize it this week. If you'd read it with me again. I am the Good Shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. Maybe you've heard this a million times. I don't care. I want you to sit in it a little bit. There's a lot here. Good. The word good. There are a lot of shepherds in your life, a lot of people that will promise to care for you. Only this one is good. The differentiating word is good. This shepherd is different than the others. He alone is the good one. A shepherd, what's a shepherd? Well, a sheep farmer, a sheep herder, we get that. And maybe you've seen the pictures of Jesus, the good shepherd, and he's kind of kindly and looks warm and nice, and that's fine. That's a good picture, but I want to just clarify your picture of a shepherd and the good shepherd. Sometimes we picture him like a kindly uncle who's really nice, but he doesn't do anything. Or a sentimental relative, again, who's kind but weak. That's not this shepherd. The good shepherd is tender, yes, but he's also terrifying. A shepherd uses a staff. That's a tool of the trade. And with the staff, a shepherd can be tender, can reach out and get one of the sheep that's walking near an edge and kind of pull it back in. But with that same staff, a shepherd can beat back wolves. A shepherd is tender when he chases the one lost sheep, leaves the 99. He's tender, but he's terrifying when he knocks the teeth out of an attacker. He's tender. It's a tender shepherd. When he tucks you in the fold of his arm, you get the picture of the lamb just tucked right here. That's a beautiful picture. And that's true. It just tucks you right here next to his side. But he's terrifying when he uses that same arm to punch the enemy in the gut, to backhand the hired hands and the wolves. And you need a shepherd that does both. Not just the tender shepherd, you also need the terrifying shepherd. Otherwise, he's useless. The shepherd is both, tender and terrifying. God is both loving and just. He's both merciful and strong. You need a God who's both at the same time. That's the good shepherd. I am the good shepherd, he says. I know my own. He knows. Elsewhere in the chapter, he says he knows his sheep by name. You are named and known. How well does he know you? Maybe you wonder that. How well does he really know me? Look where else that word know shows up. I know my own know me. How well does he know you? Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. Look what he's doing. He's linking his relationship, the mysterious relationship between God the Father and Son, and the mystery of the Trinity, how they know each other intimately as one. And in that same way, he knows you. As the Father knows the Son knows the Father, he knows you the same way. Knows all about you and is still your good shepherd. No one knows you better. I am the good shepherd. I know my own. Look at the word my. It's a possessive pronoun. It shows up 3 times in these 2 verses. Twice it's in reference to his own. That's his sheep. That's you and me. My own know me. Find it the 3rd time. It's toward the end of the verse where he says, I lay down my life for the sheep. He's linking 2 things together again. My own, my people, you, and my life. Jesus is binding together his people and his own life. This shepherd cares about you as he does himself, even above. You're bound to him, to his very life. His own are as his own self. And finally, the pinnacle of this verse is the ending. It's kind of the climax of the statement, where he says, I lay down my life for the sheep. Hired hands run. The good shepherd stays. Hired hands profit. They want to take something. The good shepherd gives without taking. Sacrifices selflessly. In the early church, the first Christians were looking for a symbol to represent their faith. One of the options could have been a shepherd's staff, based on what Jesus said here, I am the good shepherd. They didn't choose the shepherd's staff, though. Instead, the symbol that they chose was this, a symbol of sacrifice. I lay down my life for the sheep. No hired hand will do that. Maybe you've been looking for things to do for you what only he can do and what he's done here. Sometimes we place on others or things the expectation of saving that only God can do himself. We repent of that today. This shepherd is different, and he's calling you back today. Lays down his life for the sheep. Your pastors watch you, not in a creepy way, okay? Just, we don't have your house bugged or anything. That sounded weird, I'm sorry. Your pastors keep an eye on, no, not keep an eye on you. Your pastors are attentive to you, care about you, and we kind of watch for what's kind of the temperature, what's the mood among our people and among what's going on in the world, and we're always kind of watching. And this is still a weird moment, I think, in our world and in your life, and we sense kind of a heavy weight that many of you are bearing, just kind of pushes down on you. Someone this last week said, I'm just exhausted. It's not even just physical exhaustion. There's kind of a soul weariness that's happening in people's lives, and maybe you feel that too. You can't define it. It's not like you can go to the doctor and they can tell you, oh, you've got this medical condition. There's something deeper than that. There's like a soul weariness. Somebody this last week told me, I'm just at an end. I don't know what else to do. There There are a lot of hired hands in the world. And they want your money, your time, your attention, your loyalty. They want to take from you. And when we follow after them and hired hands have maybe taken from you, they leave you depleted, empty. And you feel that, not just in your body, but you feel it in your soul. These hired hands are just pulling on you, wanting from you. And maybe that's part of the mood right now, just the weight that you feel. There's a lot of hired hands calling your name. They want from you. The title pastor has Latin roots that really are agricultural, herdsman. So my title is, I prefer that over reverend. Reverend is kind of like a position of reverence. I don't really care about that. I like pastor because it's more accurate. Herdsman. When in fact, really, I'm really an under shepherd. I'm really not the shepherd. Your pastors at this church are mediocre at best. On our best days, we might be like C average. But our whole job, it's not even a job. It's not a job. Our whole life is really just to point to the real shepherd, the real pastor. And thank God you have a real pastor who's watching you, who knows you better than we do, who laid down his life for you, who calls you by name. Our whole life, your pastor, this whole church, our job is just to keep pointing to the senior pastor, the chief shepherd, who doesn't want anything from you, he just wants for you, the best for you, life and life abundantly. That's what he wants for you. And you've just been spinning around with all the hired hands and the voices calling out for you, when the good shepherd just wants you. Your under shepherd has assignment for you today. 3 things. Identify your hired hand, as we talked about. By the end of the day, identify a hired hand. What's calling you? A person or a thing that's calling you that only wants from you, not for you. It's tugging on you, and maybe you followed that voice. You thought it was a shepherd. When things got tough, you found out it was just a hired hand. Identify. Turn from. Second, memorize John 10, 14, and 15. You can do that. Just make sure it's imprinted, tattooed on your mind and your heart. That's what we do when we memorize. We keep it with us. We digest it. That's a powerful word. It's not just... It's not like the newspaper word. It's actually the words of Jesus. And when we memorize it, it does something to us. So memorize John 10, 14, and 15. And finally, call on the Good Shepherd by writing a prayer to him. So sometime today, write a prayer using the words of John 10, 14, and 15. When Jesus said, I'm the Good Shepherd, he's inviting you into a relationship which requires dialogue in any relationship you speak with. Write a prayer and use the words of John 10. To call on him, to relate to him, to speak with him. And then pray that prayer every day this week, the prayer that you write. You have many hired hands. You only have one good shepherd. Doesn't want anything from you to take. He just wants for you. We call on him now in prayer. I invite you to pray with me. O shepherd, you are the good one, the only one who is good. Be good to us again. Forgive us for wandering after the voices of hired hands, for thinking that they can really care for us in ways that only you can. Forgive us, Lord. We're really good at jumping in the ditch again and again and again. Forgive us. Tune our ears to hear just your voice, Jesus, the Good Shepherd. You know us. You laid down your life for us. Tune our ears just to hear you. Tuck us in the fold of your arm. Reform us to be your sheep. For there's no one like you, the shepherd who's good. Amen.